I just replaced my entire After Effects motion graphics workflow using Claude Code, and I did it in under an hour. I've been creating motion graphics professionally for over 10 years with After Effects and Premiere. That's been my world. I've downloaded countless amounts of templates from Envato, spent hours and days building out branded graphics packages for clients, and even hired numerous artists to help me with bigger projects. In fact, I was a post producer at a company that made motion graphics and animation for Super Bowl commercials for Amazon Ring, and I've seen budgets run into the tens of thousands of dollars per project. So I know what professional motion graphics actually cost. I built the whole entire pipeline in just an afternoon. I'm not talking about a shortcut or a workaround. I'm talking about a production grade pipeline that outputs ProRes Alpha files, proper transparent lower thirds, full screen animated callouts, full screen graphics, animation, and more. I'm going to walk through the whole exact workflow, the exact prompts, and the exact tools. Everything I'm showing you today can be done for less than $100. This isn't a simplified version. This is what I actually use on every video I produce now, including this one. Here's what the output actually looks like. Now, every one of these were built by Claude, branded to my exact specs, rendered with proper alpha or transparent layers, and it's not a template. Claude wrote the animation code from scratch based on my transcript and my brand deck. Here's how. So there are 3 tools. That's all it takes. First, the Claude Desktop App, not the browser. The desktop app is what we use for the design and proofing phase because it lets you preview everything live in a side browser window while you give notes in the chat. The second tool is Claude Code, which is separate from the desktop app, and this handles the actual rendering. I'm using an IDE called VS Code to run Claude Code, but basically you install it on your computer using the terminal. And the third tool is Hyperframes, which is an open source rendering engine that takes the HTML Claude builds and outputs them into real video files. It's a Claude skill, which we'll talk about later. So that's the entire stack. No After Effects subscription, no Envato templates, no animator brief. So the first thing you need to do is start with your finished transcript. If you've recorded a video or voiceover, export the transcript. In Premiere, go to the Graphics and Captions workspace, go to the Text tab, transcribe, and then export your transcript as a TXT file. If you're working from a script before filming, which is how I do all my tutorial videos anyway, you can also just paste that directly into Claude. And that's it, plain text. Everything said in the video. Timestamps kind of help, but they're not really required. This transcript is a script that you and Claude will be working off of. Now open Claude AI Desktop App. Upload 2 files, your transcript and your brand deck. If you don't have a formal brand deck, just describe your brand in the prompt, the font you want, the colors of your brand, and the visual feel. You can also upload reference images, website links, or even create your own brand deck quickly with Claude Design, but we'll talk about how to do that in another video. After that, here's how I brief Claude. Just notice the framing. I'm not asking a chatbot for help. I'm prompting as if I'm talking to a motion graphics artist. The framing and prompting does matter. You get dramatically better results when Claude is operating from a professional context. It comes back with a precise breakdown of every moment that deserves the graphic. And you can go back and forth with Claude with any notes you have about this breakdown. And at the same time, you can add your own thoughts on where else you would want to have animation and motion graphics. Just think of it as instructions for a motion graphics designer that's working remotely. Now we build the graphics. But before anything renders, we proof everything in HTML. This is the most important step in the workflow. It's what eliminates the revision cycle that used to eat up my time with animators. In the same conversation, ask Claude to build out all the graphics as a single HTML preview file. This way you can see all the static designed images before we add animation. Once it's done, you're going to get every graphic on brand at production dimensions before a single frame is rendered. It's kind of like a storyboard. Once you get the images, now you can give it design notes. Either bigger font sizes, different colors, different shape animations, more padding, or even the revisions in the text on screen. It's like giving notes to a designer in Slack, email, or Frame.io. Specify what needs to be changed in detail and be more specific than vague. Also, you can use this time to even add more animations. You could just go through your video or your voiceover or your script, look for a part you feel should have motion graphics, and tell Claude that during this part of the script, create an animation, and you can either tell Claude how you want the animation to look like or just have it run itself. Once Claude applies your notes, you can view the updated images inside of the Claude AI Desktop app or in a browser, and it updates live after each note session. Once the static designs are approved, now it's time to add some motion. I basically just ask Claude to animate each graphic so I can watch the movement in the browser before committing to anything. So here's my prompt. If you want, you can just copy it, pause the video, and just go word by word. So if you don't have a motion design or animating background, you can just let Claude do its thing. Also, what's great is that Claude would name each one of these files with a number, so you can reference to each one of these files when you give notes. And when you are giving notes, be precise as if you're talking to an animator remotely. And again, just like the static images, the motion graphics will then pop up on the side browser in the Claude AI Desktop app, or you can open it up in Chrome and see it on a full page. You can press the replay button just to see it over and over and over again, and you can check to see if this is the type of animation that you want. Once the motion is approved, I'm done with Claude Desktop. Now I ask Claude to generate the hyperframes render output. I'm specific about formats because I know exactly what my Premiere timeline needs, MP4 files or MOVs. And if you want your graphics to be on a transparent layer like lower thirds or callouts, you want to render that into an MOV file so it can be on a transparent layer. Anything that's full screen can actually be done as an MP4. What's crucial to this prompt is that you have to tell Claude Code to add hyperframes metadata to the HTML files when rendering. It may give you different options to create the graphics, such as using Playwright, but let's stick with hyperframes for now. Claude Code outputs individual HTML files and a bunch of other files to instruct Claude Code on how to render and what to render. It also gives you terminal render commands that you give to Claude Code so it can actually render the files. Download the zip files into a folder on your computer and unzip it. That's your render package and prompt for Claude Code. Now, open Claude Code Terminal or use VS Code. I personally like VS Code because you can see all your files on the side. Open the folder you downloaded the HTML package to. Once that's done, it's time to download the hyperframe skill for Claude Code. Think of Claude skills as a standard operating procedure, or an SOP, that tells Claude how to perform a specific multi-step process, such as creating videos from HTML files. You're going to go to hyperframes.heygen.com, copy the command at the bottom of the page, and then go back to Claude Code and prompt install this, paste, and read all the documentation so you can get familiar on how to utilize this skill properly. And then I paste the hyperframes.heygen.com. Then from there, press enter, and then it will go through a whole process of installing hyperframes. Once hyperframe skills is installed, go back to the Claude AI Desktop app and copy and paste the prompt that it told you to paste in Claude Code. Then run the prompt. To get technical, Hyperframes uses Puppeteer. It opens each HTML file, captures every frame, and assembles it into a video file. Now, it may ask you to install FFmpeg so you can actually create MP4 and ProRes files, as well as other plugins. Don't feel shy about asking Claude questions about things it's asking you to install. Just ask it to install the bare bones of what you need to create videos from your HTML files using hyperframes. Now, Claude Code will then create an output folder inside of the folder you're working in. This is where your video files will be saved. During this time, close other programs and software on your computer. Since it's rendering video, it needs all the RAM you have to make it a smooth and quick experience. It'll probably also ask you if you want to render the first file before the rest. I would say yes, so you can proof and approve the animation before it takes time on the other videos. Once it's approved and you're finished rendering all files, check your output folder for the results. Now here it is, take a look. The output is indistinguishable from what I'd render out of After Effects. Same codec, same alpha, same color space. Any editor working with my files wouldn't know the difference. Now take the files and drag everything into Premiere or your editor. Place your lower thirds and overlays and callouts above your footage, and place your full screen animations where they need to be. The alpha channel is transparent automatically, so no masking, no matting, and no green screen workflow. And I did this under an hour, which is a game changer for the days it would take me to work with an animator or do it myself. Plus, now you've just trained Claude Code on your animation style and your brand font and brand colors. You can simply open future video projects in this folder so you can make similar branded motion graphics and animation for all your videos moving forward, so you don't have to prompt and train Claude over and over again about your brand. It learns just like an animator or editor, and it gets better over time. I've spent years mastering After Effects and Premiere because that's what professionals use. And those skills aren't wasted. They're exactly what lets me brief Claude precisely, catch mistakes, and know what good output looks like. You can't fully automate something you don't understand. But once you understand motion graphics, this workflow is faster, cheaper, and more consistent than anything I've ever used before. Plus, no keyframe or rendering headaches, no animator availability issues, and no revision bottlenecks. The Hyperframes link is in the description. It's open source and free. If you're a brand or an agency that wants this running for your own content without building it yourself, that's what we do at Creative Haven. Book a strategy call below in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share this with anyone you think will find this helpful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.